Hey everyone, welcome back to Yuri's Box. In this video I'm going to give a quick update to the yield curve, the 10-2 spread. If you enjoy this kind of content, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. And as usual, nothing in this video is financial advice. So the way I like to look at the spread between the 10-year treasury and the 2-year treasury yield is in 3 steps. Again, if you've followed my previous videos, you'll know this. But basically you have zero, meaning that below zero you have an inverted yield curve, meaning you have the 2-year yield higher than the 10-year yield. Then you have 50 basis points. 50 basis points is kind of the first line in the sand, meaning whenever you invert, meaning you go below zero, like we saw from 2022 up until last year, summer of last year, like we saw in 2008, from 2006 till summer of 2007, like you saw in 2000, just before the recession in 2001, and just like you saw in 89 before the 1990 and 91 recession. Whenever you go from a state of inversion to uninversion, and you actually breach the 50 basis point spread between the two, that is usually the market's way of telling you something is up. All right, this is kind of I usually use the comparison with football, soccer if you're American, where the referee will give you a yellow card. Right, meaning you're still not out, but something's definitely going on. And it's usually in this state right here, whenever we're between the 50 basis point spread and 100 basis point spread, that usually the economy gives signs that, yes, it's definitely chugging along, but it could be primed for certain shocks to occur. And I've spoken about this in previous videos in regards to, say, layoffs. So how is an economy primed for a shock? It's really whenever the economy finds itself in a state of low layoffs, meaning layoffs still haven't spiked, but also in a state where hiring has slowed down, such as where we are now. We are back at levels seen since really the fall of 2015. And this is a better way to visualize this is perhaps exactly what happened in 08 and 05. 06 and 08, pardon me. Because again, you saw a boom and then hiring really start to kind of stall out. And again, just because you have a low layoff rate should not be a reason to fall and really be complacent about the economy, because usually layoffs are the last domino to fall, meaning by the time you see layoffs skyrocket and have this spike, the recession has usually already, it's peaked. You've left the recession behind. So I wouldn't get too complacent on that. Going back to the yield curve. Currently, the month of April has been an important month because we have actually breached in this month the 50 basis point spread. We are currently, I just woke up an hour or so ago, we are at 61 basis points. Meaning we are well above the 50 basis point spread line. And what lies ahead potentially is, us moving closer and closer towards the 100 basis point spread line. And usually whenever that happens, that is the market's way of telling you that something's definitely up. Meaning if you had some doubt of what happened, potentially that something might be happening when you cross the 50 basis point spread line. If you go over 100 basis points, that is usually an indication that something is definitely up. And if you see, actually, in 2007, we actually went over the 100 basis point spread line in December, which, if you remember, is exactly when the NBER backdated the recession in the US. Other examples, 2001, as the recession started to unfold, you go over the 100 basis point spread line, same thing in 91. So potentially, I think this is consistent with the idea that we still haven't been in a recession, although we have had some signs that potentially we might be headed to something like that. But the way I've described the US economy as more of a slowdown rather than a recession, or that we've been in recession for the past 2 years, I think that is something that still needs to play out, and it'll take some time. Now, what could really serve as a spike, to push us over the 100 basis point spread line in a matter of the next few weeks, I do believe perhaps it could be the non-farm payroll report. So let's say that, again, this week is important because we get the PMI reports on Wednesday. Let's say they come in negative, meaning that potentially the non-farm payroll report comes in negative, meaning that we get some sub 100K on May 2nd, and perhaps the unemployment rate goes up to something like 4.3 or 4.4. Perhaps that could definitely add a lot of fuel to the rocket, and we could definitely see us move closer and closer to the 100 basis point spread line. Something else that could actually fuel it is potentially the fact that, and this ties in well with the non-farm payroll report as well, is the yen. In one of my latest videos, I talked about how potentially the yen is at a decision point, meaning we find ourselves at a peculiar spot because we are currently at the lows that we've only visited in December of 23 and September of 24. And whenever you saw the yen approach this level here, really the 140 level, usually things either turn around, all right, because things just reverse. And again, when we saw the yen reverse last time, this was basically because we just kind of shrugged off a lot of the growth concerns that we had in the US. I am curious to see whether we actually do get a bounce on the yen, and I'm actually leaning on us not getting a bounce, because again, what is a powerful driver for a stronger yen is the fact that potentially we might get that we're currently in a US slowdown, okay, and tariffs probably exacerbated that. And again, if we do get some negative news on the PMIs and non-farm payroll report, I would not be surprised if in the next 2 weeks we actually breach the 140 level and proceed to move lower. Potentially, the first line of defense would be the 137, 138. Another point probably would be straight back to here at 131. And again, definitely, if we do get weakness in the US, I would expect further yen strength, which, if the legend of the yen carry trade is to be believed, you could perhaps see another leg lower and a further unwind of the carry trade, which, could lead to all sorts of goodies. So, again, this could also be a reason for the yield curve to uninvert and potentially see, the 10-2 spread approach the 100 basis points. There are definitely other things that could cause it. It really, each week feels like a month with the amount of news that comes out. The best thing you can do is, again, try to stay sane, in my opinion. That's really the only thing you can do. I'll be here to monitor, the yen and the PMI reports on Wednesday for sure. That is really the highlight of the week as far as, financial markets are concerned. Notwithstanding, any Trump posts on Truth Social notwithstanding. If you enjoy this kind of content, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye.